Now that we've spent a few days talking about how flowers pollinate or mate with each other, let's talk about how these cells, the pollen grains and the ovules, these are special cells called sex cells. Let's talk about how these sex cells are made. And this process is called meiosis. And these sex cells are very similar to human or animal sex cells. You know them as sperm and eggs. So go ahead and complete the worksheet that you have in front of you by filling out any words that are in white. And let's review genetics here. So genes are located on chromosomes. And you should remember that chromosomes are inside the nucleus, and the genes that we've been talking about are right there. And these chromosomes are made of DNA, which are the genetic material of living organisms. And most human cells contain 46 chromosomes, or in other words, 23 pairs of chromosomes. The way I really like to think of it is like 23 pairs of shoes. So if you looked in any one of your cells, sex chromosomes are special chromosomes that contain genes that determine an offspring's sex. So, for instance, we learned about this in the Paper Pet project. There's one special pair that has an X and a Y chromosome. You can either have two X chromosomes, that would make you a female, or you can have an X and a Y, which would mean that you're a male. And that is because if females always have two X chromosomes, and that means that your mother will always give you an X chromosome. Your father, however, can give you an X or a Y chromosome. So let's talk about diagramming meiosis. This part you do not need to draw, actually. So I just want you to pay special attention to it, and then I want you to think about how is this similar and how is it different from mitosis, which is when a cell just divides and copies all of its DNA. So here is a cell before meiosis. And this is a special cell that only has 4 chromosomes. So this is different from a human cell, which would have 46 chromosomes. And notice that they're copied here. So notice that they have an X shape to them. That means that you have 2 copies of chromosomes there. Now, here again are the 2 chromatids on each side of each of these chromosomes. And they line up, kind of like in mitosis. But you may remember in mitosis, all 4 of the chromosomes line up straight like this. But now they line up in pairs. They line up in homologous pairs. Remember again, homo means same. So if they're homologous, they're very similar to each other. And they line up along the center or the equator of the cell. Now they begin to divide. And you can see that now that you have 2 cells, each cell has half the number of chromosomes that they used to have. It started out with 4, and now each cell only has 2. So in the next stage, you could see that, again, they only have 2 chromosomes per cell. And that would mean that now they have half the number of chromosomes. Next. So the original cell, just to remind you, had 4 chromosomes. Now, the process of meiosis is not complete. There is a second stage. There is a second stage of division. The chromosomes line up along the center of the cell here again, and they get ready to divide one more time. So here you can see that the chromatids start to separate from each other, and they move to the opposite ends of the cell. And then you're going to have 2 new nuclei like that. So the ultimate result is that one cell becomes 4 new cells. And each of these new cells are called sex cells. Now, other things they could be called are gametes. They could also be called haploid cells. That means that they have half the chromosomes of a regular cell. Okay, so that is here. Each cell has half the number of chromosomes from the original cell. Again, 4 new cells, half the number of chromosomes. And we know now that when you have a sperm and an egg cell, they combine to form, oh,